Hi, students. I'm going to give you just a quick rundown of what this Canvas class has to offer you for preparing you to the portfolio, giving you the opportunity to uh, probably get accepted or registered for the Java classes. Let's take a look at the general overview. Is over here, the first module is expectations and guidelines. We have some resources, and then we have very specific assignments and activities that you're supposed to be working on. But I'm including the final project. But I want to give you opportunity to understand what's all this over here. For example, let's start from the top, in which you can see what the due dates are. And I do want to go over that because I'm offering you a couple of due dates. We have something called soft due dates. And each assignment will have a due date. And I call them soft due date because you don't have to stick to those due dates. The idea behind that is to give you a management tool to manage your workload. And so if you don't if you don't submit something for that particular due date, you're not going to be penalized at all. It's just that it's going to help you manage the amount of work that you have. However, we do have two hard due dates. And the first hard due date is June 25th. This is where you're supposed to complete all assignments that had that required keyword as part of the title. Assignments that do not have that required category, they're not that required category, are mostly intended for you to prepare you for assignments that are required. So usually it's like preliminary work, activities that guide you through the learning process and get you to understand and have an educational experience to actually complete the assignments that are required for the program. Then there is a project requirements acknowledgement and a project proposal and project pseudocode and flowchart that you're going to see in some of those assignments below. So so far, all these things have a hard due date of June 25th. So everything else, you could actually decide when you can submit it, complete it and submit it. The second hard due date is July 9th. And that's when you need to submit the final project implementation and a video presentation of your project. Let's go back to what comes next, which is the honesty code. This is something that is important. This is something that is followed in all the computer science classes. And so you need to spend a little time reading this and be aware that this is something that will affect your successful completion grade. What are the resources? Here is information that is available currently. I might be able to add more to it soon. But those resources are pretty much what we use right now in the Python class. The next unit, I start with unit 2. And as you can see, is a whole bunch of basic Python programs. Also some IDEs that you can use. An IDE is an integrated development environment. And this is where you develop your programs, and it has the ability also to run and to execute them. It's actually a word processor, but the only difference over here is that you can actually execute the programs. There are some activities that you don't have to turn in. As you can see, none of them say require, like this one does. So these activities over here are for you to actually do and practice, give you enough practice and know how to actually complete this this assignment for him, for example, and any assignment that is required within that module. These are not long assignments, so these are actually short assignments, and it's only the first unit that you have at module that you do programming. Let me close this tab over here. The next one is about conditionals and loops. And again, you can see many of them do not have the required keyword over here, or categories, as I call it. But we have one over here, the second one, and the third one for the first part over here. And then we have another one. Yeah, and another one. So you can see, and some of these things are like code snippets. They're not long assignments. Maybe it's just short a small number of lines in which you will actually explain information that is requested. We have nested if-else structures. Here is the required assignments that you have to submit. So this is very much what it is for the unit 3 on conditionals and loops. Pay attention to the soft due dates. These are all soft due dates, meaning the intention is to actually give you a pace in which you can actually do this work without feeling that at the last minute you have a lot to do. If we continue to the next module is again conditionals and loops, but it's part 2 because this is probably a little bit more advanced. We talk about format. Format is something that you should learn. And each of these posts, and let's take a look at this one. It has resources, examples, code, and you could see all these assignments that you will be given, that you're given, in which you don't start anything from scratch. You will be given some basic programming structure that you can develop further for the assignment. So here the lesson is actually the code that you see over here. And if you actually apply this, you created a file in which you can run this, it should demonstrate how it works. All of this code is very simple. There is no complex code, but you have to kind of independently assess how you learn those concepts. What's the first assignment that is required over here is one that has a very specific format to display asterisk stars. Let's see. Oh, important thing to know is that you're going to encounter at the first line, most likely, a link to the website. And maybe most likely is a link that gives you the most information. So here you will be actually writing code to create the code, this output. Now, since we're talking about loops, none of these things have to be hard coded, meaning system, you're not saying print this, print that. You're going to have a loop in which maybe you have 1 or 2 lines of code, and it actually generates the asterisk. That means if you change the number of asterisks you're going to be running or displaying, it should be able to handle that all by itself. It's not something that you're printing the output itself. The output is generated through the code. And I think there are 4 different patterns. So most likely going to have like nested loops or just a couple of or multiple loops, not necessarily have to be nested. One thing that I want to call to your attention is the way you should be submitting the work. Here we have copy and paste the programs in the text entry. And so when you're actually ready to submit, you will have these options will pop up and do one at a time, meaning if first you're going to submit a copy of the program in text format, and you click the submit button, and then you can submit again for other things that you have to turn in, for example, a link. In this case, you need to actually submit the file in case that I have to run it to check that in fact everything works. Documentation is critical, is part of your grade for each of these assignments. And the documentation requires a header. A header means at the top of the program, as you start, as comment, you have to have a full assignment description. The best thing to do to get full credit for that particular documentation is just to copy and paste the actual assignment itself, the description that is given to you. That's the best way to go about. Your name, the language version, Python 3.9 most likely is that you have, and then the date of completion. The footer is again the output as a comment. So you will submit something that is already, you submit the output, but it's commented out. An example to that, let's see if I have something to show you. I had to create it. So let's take a look at example of what I mean by what a program should look like when you submit it. So I go to something that is happening currently in my class. Let's look for something similar that you have over here. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Let's look at this particular one. So here's an assignment is, maybe you have heard of the project Euler, and I picked some assignments from there. Here is, let's see if this student has completed everything. No, it looks like it's missing something. So let me look for something that it has a full credit here. This student has full credit. As you can see, the actual description of the assignment is right here, is in comments, is the complete description. I believe this line also is part of the description. Here's the author of the actual program, the version of the language, and the date that it was completed. This student had given some of the, what you could call the pseudocode. So the code is very English-like sentences, don't have to be grammatically correct sentences, but it gives you an idea of how the actual algorithm works. Or some other notes, side notes that you need to complete the actual program. Here is the code itself. And here's the output. The output was actually copied to the program and then it's commented out, so you can execute the program without all this information, all this documentation affecting the execution. All right, so here is what this is the way a full program is submitted with all the information I ask. In this case, I'm not sure if I asked for submitting the actual file. Let's take a look if anybody else. I know this was a if I'm asking you to submit the file, then there will be another tab for me to actually see the file, or if there is an attachment there. And again, you can do multiple submissions. So once after you finish submitting something, you can press the submission button, right? You can submit as many times, unlimited number of times. You can see that. You can see that I think it says over here. The view, the way you see things is different than the way I see it. But somewhere here, there should be unlimited. You probably have it. The teacher's version doesn't show it. I don't see it. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back over here. Next is a module on lists. This is another resource that is very helpful. It's coming from the author of the book that I use quite a lot in this development. And it's actually, the author has YouTube tutorials. This is coming from one of the books that he has written is how to automating the boarding stuff. And this one, you're going to learn a lot of stuff that is related to that particular material that is covered in that post or that module. There is a lot more, and you will see that it's actually posted below. So there you go. And this is about for loops. But once you get to this particular post in YouTube, you can, and this is advisable, you can click on his channel. And let's take a look. He doesn't go bunch of here there. So you can use any of these resources. These are all very good resources, and there's a whole bunch of them. They're pretty good. You might find it an excellent resource. Let's go back to the course modules. Let's see, what else can I tell you? We have functions. Again, as you can see, out of these many posts, 1, 2, and 3 of them only are required. The ones that are not required, I suggest you work on them. Debugger, there is nothing to submit. You can actually totally skip it if you want to. It's good to know how to use the debugger. So I suggest that you look at it. This is the first time a game is introduced, is the Hangman. And there is nothing to submit for Hangman. However, you must do this work because this work is the stepping stone for the game you're going to implement, which is the Wheel of Fortune. There is over here a video. If you're not familiar with the actual game, if I go to the website, let's see if it's there. No, it's not. Oh yeah, here is the video. It's actually a TV show that has been running for I don't know how many years. So it's important that you get acquainted with that information because that would be the best way for you to actually do the right implementation. There is more details involved in all of this. Most of the times when you see a link, make sure you click it because that's going to give you more insightful information. Okay. Here we have a little bit of pseudocode, if you want to call it. It will help you design your game. Let's go back to where we were. So again, this is not, this one is required to turn in. What is not required is the hangman. But the hangman is actually, let's take a look. Let's take a quick look at the hangman. Oh, you can get all the code from here that you're gonna need. So if you click on that link and you scroll down, you can download all the source code for this book, because I will always be referring back to this particular resource. These are all the chapters in the book that you can read them online. You don't really have to buy the book. I find it more useful to have it online than purchasing the book, but it's up to you. It's not expensive, and but I think I only use it maybe once or twice, and then I just opted for using the online version of it. So if let's say I'm looking at one specific chapter that talks about the hangman code, here it is. But if you copy directly from here, you're going to end up with the numbers. You see those numbers over here on the left, and you don't want them in your program. It will cause trouble. It will not let you execute, and then you will have to delete each of those numbers by itself. And that's why the best is to just download all the code. The code of this program is very nicely explained in the book right here. However, what I did is I kind of broke up the code into small modules. So the code for Hangman has a whole like 5 functions. We have the get random word, the display word, get guess. So, and I think there is one more, but I think it was play again. Yes, those are functions. And what I did, I turned each of them into an activity assignment, but you don't have to turn it in. We talk about flowchart in here. I believe there is a little bit more information over here that you're going to need. But the book actually gives you a very thorough explanation of what this is. Let's take a look at the display board function. This is coming up over here. If I'm not mistaken, here I'm asking you to be specific about some parts of the code, and I'm giving you a little bit more than just resources over here. Pay attention to some downloads. Here is a further development of this program with some of the answers, but not answers directly, but mostly are like hints to get you to understand what the code is doing. Let me show you a few more of these functions that are a little bit more involved. You will find that some of them have some videos that I made for to discuss a little bit more in a personal way. Of course, you can read the book, but I think the actual listening to somebody talking about the information is very helpful. Let me see if it is the get function that I have also more another video. Let's take a look. Scroll down. As you can see, the flowchart is getting bigger as it goes. because what I do is I'm building the program or I'm discussing the program one function at a time, and so in an increasing or a growing order. So the code is, as the code is growing, the flowchart is presented. And idea behind all this is that you should always do flowchart of the code before you write the code. Conceptually, is flowchart and pseudocode is to help you put together in your head ideas and a way to write the code. Let's take a look at the next one. Let me close some of the stuff that I don't want it to take up too much space. Over here. Wrapping it up is something that you want to do because it's very useful. You go to Jamboard. Chambord is an activity that allows you to, it's an application from Google that you do not need to have an account for this, but you can access this information with any email you have. You won't be able to write on it, so you're going to have to make a copy of it right here, and then you'll be able to actually do the activity. And activity is asking you to do a few things. There are instructions for that. And here you can see how the code is put together. Actually, not the code. This is pseudocode. And again, pseudocode is almost like doing a draft of the program, and it's independent of the programming language you use. It's a very simplistic and just logical, simplistic, and sequential way of executing, of thinking of how would you be executing the instructions statement for the actual computer, the actual program, I'm saying. So this was module 8. Module 9 is about lists. And I believe I'm asking you just to submit one of these assignments. You should do, definitely you should do whatever is before this required assignment, so you can actually have no problem, feel comfortable doing this assignment. This one must be a little bit tricky, and that's why I didn't make it required. I didn't make it required. You might want to look into that. I think, if I'm mistaken, I have a good video on that. Yes, again, every time you see a link, make sure you do click on it and see what's available in there. Oh, wait a second. I know what's going on. I have to add the links from the current. Yes, when I copy this from the website, the canvas that I had, I don't think I had put all the videos. So I'm going to go back and make sure that the videos are included in this version of Canvas. The final project. The final project is not developed properly here yet. All of this has just dates. There's no content to it, but I'll be doing that very shortly. If you look at it, it says just that is it's loading. I just want to have a much, I want to have something well detailed in terms of what I expect for all of these posts that I put in this module, from project ideas to the requirement, the proposal, the pseudocode or flowchart, the implementation itself, and what is it that I want in this project video. All right. I wanted to have a Zoom meeting, but I know that everybody is busy with all different type of activities. But once you receive this and you review the video and what's given, then we can set up a Zoom meeting in which we can discuss further. And probably I'm going to be given some dates for you to pick when you want to meet with me. I have some discussions about anything that I had said in this video and or posted in this Canvas. And don't forget, I will be posting a few more things over here, especially videos that I already created for some of these posts. I hope this helps. I hope this gets you started. The first suggested date, due date, which I call it the soft due date, I believe is on May 16th. And again, a lot of this stuff is not time consuming, but you have to sit down and do it. My advice is to stick to those dates and stay within those particular dates and not stray too far away from them. So you have a good pace. You know, it helps you through. Okay. Bye. I'll see you soon.